Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that all is well and that you took the opportunity last week to hone in on your worthiness by writing that love letter to yourself. And if you haven't done that, it's not too late. Remember that it is a working document. And I think the topic of worthiness really aligns with our guest this week. I'm so excited to welcome Jessica Hook, money mindset and abundance coach. Just share a little bit about her story, how she got to this place, because it's an interesting journey. I should know because we started on a different path together quite some time ago. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Marsharelle. I'm so excited to be on the pod with you. So thank you so much for having me.
Let's dive right in.
Yes.
Describe yourself in 30 seconds or less.
I guess outwardly, I'm a mom of two kids, a 6-year-old and a 6-year-old boy, 3-year-old girl. I'm a wife. I love all things wellness, yoga, meditation, getting outside, having fun with friends and family. And then more deeply, I would say that I'm super spiritual and I just believe so fully in what I'm capable of. And that expands to believing so fully in what other women are capable of. And I have just really stepped into kind of this mission to help women see that. And I'm so lit up by it.
And being a coach was not your first path, as we mentioned a little earlier, but our paths started similarly in fashion, and then clearly they have evolved over time. Can you talk a little bit about how coaching came to be for you?
Yeah, so this is definitely not a journey I was expecting whatsoever. I like to tell the story that 1 week before the pandemic started, I got up the nerve to finally quit my job and go after this events business idea that my friend and I had and we're kind of working on. And then the pandemic happened. So clearly there were no events for indefinitely.
Right.
We didn't know when things were coming back. I like to joke that my love language is productivity. So I was really struggling with being at home with the kids.
Okay.
In putting that stay at home mom hat on. That is not a hat. I love my children, but that is not a hat that I ever was really expecting to wear.
Yeah.
So kind of getting literally thrown into that unexpectedly. And then the challenges of COVID, not being able to see anyone, just all the things that all of us went through. And I realized in that moment that if I was going to survive this and if our family was going to stay mildly sane and healthy and get through this,
right.
I needed to start doing work on for myself. And I remember I started waking up at 4 a.m. just to get a workout in and start meditating. And that's what I started with.
Yeah.
And I started feeling so amazing, the best I've ever felt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can handle this. I'm feeling so good.
Yeah.
And even in that time, I didn't know what that meant. I was like, I just feel really good. I want other people to experience this. This is
right.
incredible, right? I would say fast forward a year, still in the pandemic, still going through it.
That dark cloud just following us.
And I came across a coaching certification and I was just like, this is what is calling me. And I really felt a strong calling for it, even though I didn't know exactly what it looked like. I was at that point where I was open to exploring what that looked like.
Drawn to it.
Drawn to it. And I also realized in that moment that I had been limiting really putting a name around what I wanted to do out of fear of judgment from other people. So that was
Mm-hmm.
also like a really big awareness and shift. And like once I let myself fully claim, like, no, this is what I want to go after,
Yeah.
that was a huge shift.
Yep. The limiting yourself because of the judgment we anticipate, right? It's not even
Exactly.
like the real judgment. We just created it. A common theme that you often find with wives and mothers is like, you can lose yourself as you're putting an emphasis on being a caretaker. How did you manage to create enough space for yourself to not only walk your path, but embark on a completely new path? What did that look like for you? How did you do that and feel, I guess I would say, guilt free?
The guilt free part took a lot longer. Like, even though I was doing the work, I felt I had the guilt for a lot longer than expected. But I think for me, it was almost out of necessity
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic that I had to create this space. And I just felt like if I wasn't showing up for myself,
Yeah.
I couldn't show up my best for my kids and my husband and people that needed me. It's like
Yeah.
I needed to be doing the work to like really ground myself. Excuse me. Yeah, it was almost like the necessity of that like almost created the space or like
Yeah.
forced me to create the space. However, there was still that guilt and that judgment. I would say almost more when I started going into coaching
Mm-hmm.
because I still had like my stay-at-home mom hat on, like a lot of work that had to be uncovered. Like
Mm.
I'm not just a mom. Like
Yeah.
I am allowed and it's okay to have bigger aspirations and bigger goals. And, again, you were talking about the judgments that like aren't even necessarily real. Like I was putting that judgment on myself and
Mm-hmm.
thinking that that was the judgment that my husband had about me. But
Right.
he's like, no, you like go do what makes you happy. Like I recognize that's so important. And like he was so supportive, but it was all me putting that judgment on myself. And it was like a lot of work and a lot of like self inquiry to figure all of that out. The space is so important because when you create that for yourself, you actually become like the best version of yourself for everyone else in your life.
Yeah.
Like any of that guilt like should then go away because you're just showing up in just such like a loving and compassionate,
Mm-hmm.
happy, whatever that looks like for you, for everyone else, because you're like doing what really nourishes yourself first.
What is one tool that you always reach for or recommend that's tried and true that
Mhm.
helps to get you over the hump?
Yeah. So I love this. And you're right. I have tons of tools. Allowing yourself to fully embrace whatever it is you're going through,
Mm.
whatever it is you're feeling, to then be able to let that go. So often we push feelings away. We
Mm-hmm.
try to just get on with things, move past, and it actually never really works. So
Yes.
you're doing yourself a disservice when really all you need to do is let that kind of energy and that emotion be there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say letting it be there, and again, you can kind of do it in a variety of ways, but maybe it's you're feeling some overwhelm and you're feeling like tightness in your chest. So just allowing yourself to close your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
breathe into that sensation fully, letting it be there
Yeah.
without any judgment. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, hey, we're feeling a little overwhelmed. Right. And so, but just so simply coming back to your breath,
Mm-hmm.
coming back to that moment, creating presence around that, and really just allowing that to be there, it will naturally release.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Breath is
my
so
gosh,
important.
so important. I know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many clients come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just haven't breathed. And I'm like, yeah, like that
Yeah.
is huge, right?
Yes.
But even having the awareness of that, like,
Yes.
oh my gosh,
It sounds ridiculous because you're
it
like, well, that's
does.
what we do. We breathe. How we're alive. But are
Right.
you really breathing? Like,
Yeah.
no, no, you're not. Um,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you speak all the time about the importance of alignment. Can you talk about how being aligned shapes you moment by moment.
Yeah, yeah. So I do. I always talk about alignment, and so much of where I am and what I have learned really with alignment and how I first discovered alignment is through meditation. And I mentioned that, like, I started a meditation practice during the pandemic. And at the time, it was really just to calm the anxiety and the worry, and there was
Mm-hmm.
so much going on. I also stopped watching the news, which I highly recommend.
Ugh,
I'm sure I know
yeah,
that you kind of don't really watch
I
anymore, and I
had
know
to let
anyone
it
out
go.
there, it's just like let that go. What I found is through the meditation, again, it's like through breath,
Mm-hmm.
through quieting your mind, through just allowing yourself to become fully into the present moment, you start to get into alignment. So what does that mean? It's like you are allowing yourself, you are starting to connect to that higher power inside of you. So when you can be connected to that, things are just so much easier. When you're in alignment, you feel, you have that sense. It's not the mind, it's that voice that is who you are, your essence, then saying, no, just do this.
Yeah,
No, just take this step. It's like, but you so often, so many of us are just letting like the thoughts and the loops just, we never quiet the chatter to
right.
hear that like true guidance that again is just like so much smarter.
What is a golden nugget that you can share for anyone out there aspiring to show up differently in their lives, but still find themselves struggling?
Yeah. So two things come up. One would be clarity. Like, do
Hmm.
you really have clarity around what exactly it is that you want? Because sometimes I find that people want something different, but really they're not owning that. So it's like, do you have the clarity? Are you willing to own whatever that is? Really like, and by
Mm-hmm.
own, I mean embrace, like allow yourself, give yourself permission to claim the biggest,
Yes.
boldest, craziest dream that you have. And once
Hmm.
you allow yourself to do that and fully embrace that, like synchronicities and things will start to happen that will set you on that path. So trusting that, believing in that, giving yourself grace, and then really doing the inner work and like the awareness work. Like what is truly holding you back from doing it?
Hmm.
Allow yourself to get honest with that. And some people maybe have never even done that. They use the
Yeah.
excuses, the time, the money,
Yes.
all the things.
Been there.
Yep. So have I, Marsharelle. So have I. And really, they mean nothing, right? And
Yeah.
it's how is that keeping you safe? What are you afraid of experiencing if you allowed yourself to actually go after what you want to do or actually create
Hmm.
what you want to do? There's typically some sort of fear or resistance if you dig deep enough. And once you uncover that, once you then can work through that,
Yeah.
then it's like you'll be unstoppable.
What are you afraid of? I think that's a wonderful note to end on.
Yeah, this was great. I
Thank you
know. Food for
so much
thought.
for joining me today. Can you tell us where folks can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at the Jess Hook. My website is abundancewithease.com. And then follow along on Instagram. Check my link in bio. I'm going to be starting a money mindset masterclass soon to really
Oh.
start tapping into some of those subconscious blocks that are holding you back
Hmm.
from attracting more money into your life, into your business. So stay tuned for that. And that'll be a fun little intro into upgrading your money mindset.
Very nice. Abundance with ease. So thanks again for joining us. And for all of you out there, thanks for listening. I'll leave you with a few words today from Ayanna Van Zant. When you are in alignment with the desires of your heart, things have a way of working out. If what you've heard here resonated with you today, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the pod. And I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.